IML students. Today we're going to talk about what exactly is traded in the Forex market. By now you should have a good solid understanding, if you've been following along, about the history of Forex, who the major players are in the Forex market, and also what is Forex. So now we're going to dig deeper into what exactly is traded. So get your pens and your paper, get them out there, get them ready. Let's go. A little bit about me. My name is Adeze Duncan. I am your Forex 101 trainer on IML TV. And now here I am educating you on the facts and figures of Forex. Also, I've been a teacher for the last 10 years, so this is nothing new to me. So please pay close attention. Make sure that you remember that you are a student. That's what you say to yourself regularly. You are a student. You are learning a skill that can pay you for the rest of your life. Let's get ready to learn about what is traded in Forex. Upon finishing this video, you should have a very good understanding of the following questions. Read through them quietly to yourself. As you are taking notes, make sure to pause this video in order to answer these questions. So what actually is being traded in the Forex market? The simple answer is money, but you're not actually holding anything physical. The money is more virtual than anything, okay? So from now on, I'm not going to refer to this money in the Forex market as money. From now on, I'm going to actually be referring to them as currency pairs, because that's actually what we're doing. Recall what I said. What is traded in the market? We are actually Forex traders. We are trading one currency for another. That's what we're doing. Or we're exchanging. Exchanging and trading, they're the same thing. We are exchanging one currency for another. So I'm going to talk about the most common currencies that are actually exchanged or traded in the Forex market. So let's get back to some of the major currencies, some of the most common currencies that you're going to see being exchanged in the Forex market. Some of those include the United States dollar, the euro, the yen, the Japanese yen, the pound, the Swiss franc or franc, the Canadian dollar, the Australian dollar, and the New Zealand dollar. Those are some of the most common that you will see exchanged in the Forex market. There are others, but those are the ones that we will put most of our focus on. Another thing to take note of, outside of just what is being exchanged, is also where is it being exchanged from and the health of that actual economy. For instance, if you had a certain country and their currency just went through a major currency collapse, that would not be a really good country to buy into, if that makes any sense. You want to be able to make a profit. Now, you could totally sell money from that economy and sell that country's currency and then buy another country's currency. That would be the exchange that you're doing. Let's give a good example of that. So, for instance, around the world, when the election in the U.S. was happening, everybody was watching. We watched the Obama administration end and the Trump administration begin. And all around the world, everyone felt some kind of way about what was happening in the U.S. economy. As a result, a lot of people decided to sell the U.S. dollar because at that moment they felt like, I guess, that wasn't very good for the economy. So they decided to sell and buy into another economy that they felt was more stable. Now, of course, eventually they ended up doing the opposite. They ended up selling off the country they thought was more stable and then rebuying up the U.S. dollar. But those types of exchanges happen very frequently. And it's all based around how they feel about that economy. That's called market sentiment, which we will get into another time. Now, I just mentioned some of the most common currency pairs. There are the kinds of currency pairs that are called the majors, okay? So the majors are any currency pair that contains the U.S. dollar. Those are the ones that are considered a major. So any pair that is paired with the U.S. dollar is considered a major. So if you look in the chart, you've got the Euro USD, you have the USD JPY, GBP USD, all of those, you get it, you see it. Those are all majors. Something else to take note of is the nickname. Occasionally in the chats or around or just, in passing, you'll hear people refer to them as the Euro dollar or the pound yen or the Swiss yen or the Kiwi. What are they talking about? They're actually talking about the New Zealand dollar, the Kiwi dollar. If they said, hey, I'm trading that Kiwi, they're talking about the New Zealand dollar. That's what they're talking about, okay? Or the Swissy or the Loonie. These are just different slangs and nicknames that people actually call them, and that's for, in regards to English. Next, you actually have another group called the crosses. The crosses are also referred to as minors. So you have the majors, any pair with the US dollar, and then you have the minors, any pair that does not contain the US dollar. So I don't want you to get confused. The crosses also refer to minors. They can be either or. They can be crosses or minors. So anything that does not have the US dollar is considered a cross. So I have a table here with the yen crosses. You can take a look at them. You can feel free to pause the video. I'm going to keep on moving. And then you've got the pound and you've got the euro. And there's others. Basically, anything that is a major type, or most common, the most common currency pairs that I had talked about earlier, any of those that are not paired with the US dollar, those are called crosses. So you've got the euro and the yen. You cross those two together, and yen means JPY. You've got the GBP and the JPY, or the pound yen, or, as you see in the table, the pound guppy. Okay, those are some of the major crosses. And let me not say major so I don't confuse you. In a nutshell, the cross currency pairs are any pair that does not contain a US dollar, but they are very heavily traded currency pair, not from an emerging economy, but one that is already established. Next, you have the exotic currency pairs, which are any currency pair that is paired with an emerging economy. Okay, so an example of that would be like Hong Kong, or the Indian rupee, or the Russian ruble, the Mexican peso. Those are more emerging economies, so those would be considered exotic pairs. Something to keep in mind when you actually start trading, exotic pairs are not as widely traded, so as a result, they're going to cost you more to be able to trade those pairs. The reason why is because, again, they're not widely traded, so it's going to make your broker have to work a lot harder in order to find someone who wants to trade what you have. Now it's time for you to get out your pen and paper and write down all of those currency pairs that you saw me list, because you're going to need to memorize all of those in order to do well. And I'm just kidding, right? That's why I have this slide. It says, relax, calm down. You do not need to memorize all of those pairs. Really, I got some advice for you. Really, I do. Here's my advice column. What I want you guys to do is I want you to pick a few currency pairs. No more than 3 to 5 to study and to start off. You can always add more pairs to your portfolio, but it makes more sense to start with a very few. As you see at the top when it says treat currency pairs like dating or courting, okay? And let me just say it more like this. When you start off dating, well, hopefully you're not going to, date 3 to 5 people, but when you start off dating, what I want you guys to, when you start off dating, you usually find the person that you like, hopefully, if you're not a player, and you just follow those people. You go out, you find out about them. What do they like? What they sound like. Eventually, you'll be able to pick out their voice in a crowded room. You'll know what they like. You'll know when they're happy, when they're sad, what they like to eat. Okay. You eventually studied that person enough where you can start to finish their sentences. Okay. It's the same thing with the Forex market. You want to pick a few currency pairs. You don't want to pick too many. That's why players, they don't last very long. If they have too many people, they lose track and they start getting things mixed up and they get burnt. In the same way with the Forex market, you need to pick just a few. Learn what happens when the news comes out. What does this currency do? What happens in the morning, in the evening, in the nighttime? What happens with these currency pairs on a slow day, on a Monday, on a Tuesday? Study those pairs. And when you get comfortable with them, then you can add some new ones to your portfolio, because then you will have been, you will have mastered those ones. You don't want to be a jack of all trades and a master of none. All right. You want to study them until you get very familiar. Something else you can do is keep a trading journal, which I'm going to actually talk about that in future videos, but just keep track of what they do and how they act. And the best thing is to start with the most common pairs, the ones that I had listed earlier. So go back, and if you forgot them, hopefully you were writing stuff down. Start with the most common. Obviously, you don't want to start with the exotic pairs, because I explained to you they're very hard to trade. So you don't want to start there as a beginner. You don't want to start with more aggressive pairs such as gold or the pound and the JPY. Those ones are very aggressive. Stay away from those. That's just advice. Here's a graph of some of the top 8 pairs. I would pick one of these. These are just suggestions. Obviously, you can go with some more aggressive pairs if you like. But for a starter, this is what I would suggest that you pick. Pick from any of these pairs. As you see, these are the top pairs that make up the bulk of the Forex volume, especially the Euro USD. You can't go wrong with that. The USD JPY, you can't go wrong with those. Why would I, as somebody brand new, want to start off with those pair? Well, it's going to be easier to find someone who wants to take that trade because lots of banks are doing business consistently and continuously with those currency pairs. So you're going to see a lot of momentum with those pairs. Also, the spreads, which I'll talk about later, it's going to be, let's basically say it's going to be a lot less expensive for you to be able to take those trades. Okay? Thank you guys for listening to this. Hopefully this was very helpful to you. Please, if you want some good interaction and whatnot, please come visit me on IML TV. Forex 101 is what I teach. My name is Adeze Duncan. I am your IML Forex trainer. By now, you should have a good understanding of the following questions. Read them quietly to yourself, answer them, and when you are finished, go on to the next video in Forex Foundation 1 series. My name is Adeze Duncan, and remember, I am a student always.